Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the first hour of debate on Bill C-311, the Violence Against Pregnant Women Act, there was a lot of pushback by Liberals and the NDP on issues not in the bill. The lack of care and rigor in this debate should be distressing to Canadians paying attention at home. It is abundantly clear that this legislation is about one thing: protecting vulnerable women through a criminal code amendment. It is very important that this debate centers on what is actually before us, and we look to consistency in sentencing across the country as an objective. So pregnancy as an aggravating factor is no longer discretionary but mandatory to consider. I will read the bill in its entirety into the record so there is clarity for all those following the debate. Quote, Bill C-311, an act to amend the Criminal Code, Violence Against Pregnant Women, Preamble. Whereas Parliament wishes to denounce and deter violence against pregnant women by explicitly including pregnancy as an aggravating circumstance for the purpose of sentencing, now, therefore, His Majesty, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate and House of Commons of Canada, enacts as follows. Short title, this act may be cited as the Violence Against Pregnant Women Act, Criminal Code paragraph 718.2 sub A of the Criminal Code is amended by adding the following: evidence that the offender in committing the offense abused a person whom the offender knew to be pregnant, evidence that the offense caused physical or emotional harm to a pregnant victim. End quote. That's it, a preamble, short title, brief amendments to beef up sentencing if a violent crime is committed against a pregnant woman. This is common sense legislation that protects women who choose to carry their baby to term. Nowhere in this legislation is there any reference to the unborn or reproductive issues. Making this debate about something other than protecting women is unfair and uncaring. This is where their fake feminism is exposed. Just last week, it was reported that Paul Bernardo was transferred to a medium security prison. Conservatives brought a unanimous consent motion calling for an immediate return of this brutal serial rapist and killer to a maximum security prison. We were shouted down by the Liberal member from Kingston and the Islands. They made their intentions clear then. They've decided to defend one of the most disgusting men in Canadian history rather than his female victims and their families. This is misogyny, Mr. Speaker. And when the Liberals vote against C-311, they will be voting against women and against choice. They will be once again protecting violent men, not vulnerable women. Conservatives are on the side of women and of victims. Thank you.
Hear, hear.